Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com. Alright, so this video is going to reveal another lie that has been, taught or conditioned into this new community of empaths waking up about narcissist abuse, but all the videos on YouTube, and you keep hearing it, but it's just not true. Again, it's another lie that narcissists are perpetrating. Alright, so here's the deal. What they have been telling us, now here's another thing you really got to be leery of. You've got to open your eyes to. There are a lot of people online on YouTube acting like they're empaths, but they're not. Like, there's this one guy, he's just got this cold death stare, and he's always like, one of the things he tells people is, he goes, back away slowly like a coward, be a wimp, don't let them know that you revealed them, don't let them know that they're a narcissist, don't remove their mask, slowly back out of. No, one thing I have finally discovered: if you slowly back out of a narcissist's life, they will continue to attack you. They will continue to attack you until you fight back. Bullies don't like victims that fight back. The more vicious you fight back, the more aggressive, the more verbal especially, the meaner you are with your words and just calling them on their shit, they're like, oh fuck, I gotta get out of here. They are way too sensitive to fight someone who is willing to toe the line and fight back. So I started looking at this guy, and he just has this droopy face, like there's no emotions, there's no feelings. He's this overly logical dude, and you look into his eyes and like, he looks exactly like a narcissist. And it's like, guys, you gotta understand, there's gonna be this continual it's like they're trying to constantly train you to be wimps, to let them walk all over you. So here is the thing that I'm talking about. So what are we constantly told about narcissists? Oh, the reason why they became a narcissist is because they had something really horrendous happen to them in their life when they were a child. Oh my God. Well, let me tell you something. I have never seen any evidence of that. In fact, everything that I have seen was nothing happened. The tiniest, littlest thing, and I'm going to give you some real life examples from people that I have known. Alright, so come back to this image of the little Lannister prince or whatever. He became a king, the guy on the left. Look at his face. What does he look like? Does he look like a mature, respectable man? No. He's a spoiled, rotten little brat who has never experienced the hardness of life, has never experienced the abuses of life. He was just this spoiled little rotten brat. And if you've watched this series to any length, you'll see him literally physically beat people, torture people, kill people, and he laughs and he thinks it's funny, just like a narcissist. And the other thing you'll see is, number two, is he's like a spoiled brat, will have temper tantrums over the littlest, tiniest little things. And then he'll go, you can't do that to me. And he just loses his shit. And it's like, what's the problem? It literally is spilled water. It's not a big deal, dude. But they lose their shit like they're losing their life, like they're on the verge of death. It's like, bro, like nothing happened. But to them, that's a traumatic event. Oh my God. Now here's the deal. You literally could have gotten in a car accident and you're on the verge of death, you're dying, you've got broken bones, broken spine, and they're like, what are you complaining about? Somebody spilt milk on my shoes. And that, my friends, is a narcissist. Now I'm going to give you some real life examples. When I was 28, as I've said, I went through an awakening of a sort. I became very aware of things that I wasn't aware of before. So one of the things that, I was very aware of this side, but I never thought to ask this question, and it has to do with my mother, okay? So she was always an extremely violent, dangerous, sick person. She just abused children at a level that you just don't do. And she was always angry, and she was just mad at everybody. And everything you learn about narcissism, I look back now at the way she treated my stepdad. I was like, wow. Like the minute he'd walk in the door from hard days of work, she would just be screaming at him. Like, as a little child, I was like 8, 9, 10 years old, looking at her like he didn't do anything. Like, what's the problem? So if you look and read what this image says here, people who have done you wrong will forever think your posts are about them. Well, another thing is, when they do you wrong, they have to constantly make you look like the bad person, because if the people around catch on, like, well, wait a minute, this is actually a really good person, I just can't believe they would do something like that. So they have to continue this role and this play and this act that you're the bad one, okay? So they'll take something and they'll blow it massively at, like, from something that was 1%, and they'll blow it massively out of proportion. Okay, like to 100%. Let me give you an example. So I finally asked my mom one day, you know, it was I think it was a weekend, it was quiet, it was about noon, and we're at the kitchen table, and I just said, you know, and she was really mad at someone who really didn't do anything. I'm like, what is she so, like, but, oh, by the way, she was known as the Dragon Lady where she worked because she was so mean to fucking people, and she thought that was hilarious, but people were legitimately terrified of her because how mean she was. Adults. So I asked her, I go, you know, why are you so angry? I mean, she just was always angry. Like, she just, nothing could make her happy. Nothing. And she looks at me. She goes, honestly? I'm like, yeah. She goes, well, something happened to me when I was a child. Now, I'm expecting this is going to be something like her friend died in front of her. She got raped. Somebody murdered someone that was her best friend. Somebody bullied her, like beat her up and spit on her. And just fucking did horrendous things to her. This is what I'm expecting. This has got to be something fucking horrible. Now, mind you, I've never in my whole life, from any one of my family, aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers, anyone has ever said anything like, man, you know, when your mom was a kid, you know, she went through blah, blah, blah. So that's why my brain just kind of woke up one day. I'm like, well, wait a minute. So what exactly made you so fucking mean? And she goes, one day when I was a girl, I think she was about 8 years old or 10 or 12, something like that. She goes, we were running around the yard having fun. I'm like, okay. It was her and my 2 uncles. And uncle, I can't forget what uncle, but Uncle so-and-so, he threw water in my face. And I'm like, okay, and? She goes, well, that's it. And I thought, oh, was it boiling water? Did it, like, give you blisters and you had to go to the hospital? No, of course not. Like, did he, like, throw glass at you and it cut your eye open or cut your face open? No, it was a plastic cup. It was just water. I'm like, I don't understand. Why is that so traumatizing? I go, oh, were you like in your Sunday best dress and right before you were going to school, he threw like a glass of Kool-Aid and it stained your white dress and it really messed it? No. We were just running around in our dirty clothes and our shorts and tank tops. It was a hot day. I'm like, it was a cup of water? That's it? She goes, yeah. Can you believe that? I'm just going, oh my God. That's when I really was like, this person is fucking nuts. So it's like we're back to Donkey Kong again. So in all the abuses that you've done to not only her own family, but to us and other people, it's just like, so that's your reason for justifying all the shit that you've done in your life to people? That? So back to the boy king here. It's just like they just, this is what, okay, here's what I want you to start doing. Look at their face. Don't they look like little spoiled rotten children who have never had to deal with the harshness of life? They were spoiled rotten by their mother or their father. So a long time ago, I had a friend when I was a kid. And we met them when we moved to another state. And the one thing that said, like, hey, don't stare at so-and-so because he's got a lot of scars on his face. What happened was he went in the kitchen, he reached up and grabbed the pot. And this was a horrible thing. And he pulls it down and it burned the side of his face and his head really bad, like really bad. He had a lot of plastic surgeries over the year. So the thing about it was as we grew up and got to know these people, we would spend a lot of time. They were our favorite family, friends, etc. Is he could do anything he wanted. Torture us, hit us, just do horrendous fucking things. Always like, I just always did. Like, I remember his little brother would just cry and cry because he was getting bullied, like really, really fucking bad. And he tried to bully us too, but some of us fought back and were like, fuck you, dude. And that's where I learned to fight back against bullies, because if you don't, they will not. And that's when he stopped, was the day I punched him back. The first time in my life I ever punched someone was him. And just like this boy king on the left in this image, he was just like that. He was so proud of how he could fucking piss people off and play mind games. He could look at them, they're just going nuts. He loved it. He loved to make people go absolutely insane. Not to mention all the physical stuff he would do to us. Now here's the thing. He was, I think, 4 or 5 grades older than me. And then his brother was younger than me, my brother, and his brother was younger. So we were a lot smaller. He would never fuck with the kids his age or even a grade below. It was always the kids that were 4 or 5 grades lower. And I remember his older brother just screaming at his mom, like, why do you let him get away with that? And the reason was because we had to feel sorry for him. Oh, narcissist. We had to feel sorry for him because of his accident. Now, the accident was horrible, but it wasn't like he was some monstrous looking kid, and he wasn't like disabled. He got good grades. He was smart. He was good in sports. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he was held back in any way. So it's kind of like, but he knew he could get away with murder because everyone in the neighborhood was taught, like, hey, he's a special case because of this special thing. Well, here's what happened. He just became a full-blown narcissist. Once he realized he could get away with murder and his mommy was going to come to his aid, he didn't care anymore. And now, as a grown adult man, he doesn't understand. He was the guy when I made a video about when my mom burned my hand on the stove when I was 6.5 years old. Okay, on high. He had called me up when he was about 51 to 54 and I was about 48 or something. I had just gotten ran over by a car. I was suffering from major head injuries, broken bones, spinal injuries. And he goes, remember that time when your mom burned your hand on the stove? That was so funny. I'm like, dude, that wasn't funny. He goes, dude, we all laughed about it. Yeah, because my mom, the narcissist, would tell everyone, all the kids, like, yeah, it's funny, huh? Like, oh yeah. And the thing, I didn't do anything wrong. She just came in one morning and did it. But the point of this is, like, as a grown man with 2 children, here's the thing, one of his kids was 6 years old at the time. And I'm like, well, how would you like if I did that to your kid? And he goes, dude, that's not funny. I go, sure it is. You just convinced me for life, because we'd been arguing back and forth on, I'm like, dude, this is not fucking funny. He's like, sure it is, dude, it was hilarious. He goes, dude, what's the big deal? Another narcissist tactic on belittling you and what happened to you and just making it like it's nothing. I forget the word for it. There's a technical word for it there that we use, but it's just the very stereotypical thing. And then when I try to flip it around, now here's the thing, his brain could not understand. In his mind, like, dude, that's not funny, because when I mentioned, what if we did it to your child, he goes, dude, that's not fucking funny. He got real serious real fast. I'm like, yeah, I know, that's what I've been telling you for fucking 35 years. So here's the deal. He literally couldn't comprehend. He said, but that's different. I go, how is it different? They're literally the same age as I was when it happened. His brain literally could not comprehend or understand why I was so upset and why I was using this comparison. He couldn't connect the dots. Now here's the worst part. You would think someone that had got burned as severely as he had, on accident, would be compassionate and understanding of someone else who had gotten burned as bad, and it was done to them on purpose. Nope, couldn't relate, couldn't understand. Which is why I brought this picture back, because look at the little spoiled boy king on the left. He literally could not understand why it was a big deal when he was torturing people, when he was abusing people, when he was beating people up, and because he was a king, nobody could fight back. I mean, it was like he could do whatever he wanted. Just like my former friend, and just like narcissist, they are not these highly abused people. They are spoiled, rotten brats. They don't have a clue of the harshness of life. Sure, if they get a bruise, they cry and scream out. But if you get the same bruise, they're like, just be quiet. It's not a big deal. So when it happens to you, it's not a big deal. But when it happens to them, oh my God, the whole world has to come to a full, complete stop. So here's the deal. Don't deal with those people. Just don't do it. I'm going to give you one more quick story. A brother of mine, he's passed away. He was about, oh God, I think 33, 34. I think I was 30 or 31 at the time. So he was really upset with me. I hadn't seen him in probably years, 2, 3 years or something like that. And he just like got all mad and yelled at me one day when we ran into each other. I'm like, what are you mad about? Like, what the fuck's going on? So I finally asked him, because he goes, well, look at what you did to mom. I'm like, well, what did I do to mom? Like, what are you talking about? He goes, well, I go, yeah, exactly. All these years you've been saying I'm this horrible person. And see, I've been going through Tony Robbins seminars, and I started learning to like stand up for myself and ask questions. Like, so what exactly did I do? And after 5 minutes, he was literally thinking, he couldn't, I go, you literally can't come up with one fucking thing. You know what he says? He's, well, that one time that you almost died. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because when you were in the hospital and your appendix burst and you had double emergency surgery. I had 2 surgeries within about 6 hours of each other, 4 hours apart. Because the first surgery went really bad. So I'm like, what are you talking about? Because you have no idea how much that stressed mom out. You had no idea. And I literally said, forgive me for almost dying. And I just got up and walked out. So let me tell you something. They didn't have a bad childhood. Probably the thing that they're alluding to, this horrible thing happened, it was probably they got water thrown in their face on a warm sunny day, and they're out playing in their dirty clothes or street clothes or whatever you call it. It wasn't a Sunday dress, and it wasn't a big deal. All you have to do is look at the narcissist and just notice what he complains about. It's like a spoiled little brat who doesn't want to eat his broccoli, who doesn't want to eat his string beans, and just complaining about they're spoiled. They're not damaged. Do you want to know what the real deal is? Just like a spoiled kid, he's just going to do whatever he wants when he wants, and because of that, because he's never had any repercussions, he doesn't understand other people's experiences in life. He can't even relate when the same exact thing happened to you that happened to him. The reason why narcissists are narcissists and mean to other people is because they were never held accountable on a consistent basis. And because of that, psychologically, they are missing a connection of having the ability to relate to other people. Now, that's a right brain function. Again, as I've said in all my videos, narcissists don't want to open up to the right brain because they don't want to feel emotions. They don't want to get hurt emotionally, but they have no problem hurting other people. One thing I've noticed about narcissists is they will sit there. Now, again, this is before I really knew what was going on, but they'll go, watch this. And they'll say something to someone or do something to someone, and it'll really hurt them. They'll just grin from ear to ear. Isn't that fucking funny? I'm like, dude, that's horrendous. Like, why would you do that? Like, well, dude, it's funny. Like, no, dude, that girl's going home crying. Like, why would you do that? Now, here's the thing. If you did something even 1% of what they did to that person, they would lose their shit and cry and be like, oh my God, how could you do that to me? And you look at them like, this is what you do to people every day for the last 45 fucking years. What are you talking about? My overall final message in this, hold them accountable. Call them on their shit. Don't let them get away with it. Punish them. I don't know if you're related to them. Break up with them. Don't give them favors. Don't do things for them. Just stop. Because until people start holding them accountable for the horrendous things that they've been doing, they're going to continue. People, cut through the chase. They're murderers. They murder people. They physically will torture people. They'll burn children's hands on the stove and on, and they think it's fucking funny. Until you hold them accountable on whatever level that you do it, they're just going to continue doing it because in their minds, why not? What's to stop me? And because of that, they're never going to learn. They're never going to develop that side of their brain. They're never going to grow. And remember, yes, narcissists know what they're doing is wrong. They're very, very aware of it. They're also very, very aware that they can change, but they don't want to because nobody's holding them accountable. Nobody's calling them on their shit. No one's putting them in their place. Nobody's fighting back. Nobody's stinging them, and on and on. So here's the deal. They're never going to change as long as society lets them get away with this. So don't think, oh, we got to feel sorry for them. No, you do not. That is a freaking tactic. It is a freaking part of their strategy. It is literally part of the love bombing phase and all that stuff. It is part of their strategy. And you know why? Because they know that you'll fall for it. God bless you guys. Stand up for yourself. Walk and block. Walk away from narcissists. Don't ever talk to them again. Have nothing to do with them. And I promise you, your life will continually to get better and better and better. And if you're in that really dark stage where you're hurting and you're scared, I promise you, the number one thing you have to do is completely put a wall up to anyone who is mean, rude, or disrespectful to you. Cut them off completely. It's still going to hurt. You're going to feel lonely. You're going to go through this lonely stage, but it will get better. I don't think that. I absolutely know that beyond a shadow of a doubt. The beginning is near.